Welcome to the January edition of Feeding Our Faith. Now today we've got the McBrides and the Roamers with us, and they're going to be helping me to cook a Thai chicken curry soup. And we've got a number of things that go into it, so it can seem a little bit intimidating, but it's really not that difficult. So one of the first things we do is we start out with some chicken that we've cut up into little cubes, and we make sure that we salt and pepper it. Now after we have given it a little bit of salt and pepper, we're actually going to cook it in the pan back here. I've got 3 tablespoons of olive oil, and we're going to begin cooking it. And some of the next things that are going to go in are going to be the jalapeno peppers. We have shiitake mushrooms, some red bell pepper, and some shallots. Now shiitake mushrooms, they're a little bit funny looking, and they can be a little bit pricey, but they have a really strong taste to them, so you don't need a whole lot of them to go in. So usually want to kind of slice them really thin there, because they can kind of have an intense taste, and some people, it can be almost a little too much. So we want to make sure we slice them nice and thin. So after it's browned, we want to remove the chicken from the pot. So I wonder if you might, there we go. And there we go. Be careful. And now we need to add the peppers. The chopped jalapenos, minced shallots, okay, and those sliced shiitake mushrooms. Now we're going to cook those for a little while until they begin to kind of get soft. And once they get soft, we'll then add in our next ingredients. So it'll take usually about anywhere from 7 to 10 minutes to get them soft. Okay, now the vegetables have softened. Our next thing is to add the garlic and the grated ginger. Thanks, Anna. All right, and we'll give that a stir. You want to make sure that you don't overcook the garlic and the ginger. We just want to kind of saute a little bit. And the next few steps are going to go pretty quick, because our next thing is that we will measure out some of the curry paste. We've got Thai red curry paste, and we will actually be using 2 tablespoons of the Thai red curry paste. And so we're going to put that in here in just a second. But before we do that, we got to add the beer. Now, usually I've found that adding a Hefeweizen or a Belgian white beer or wit beer usually works best for this. We're actually using from the oldest brewery. Going to add it to deglaze the pan, okay? So
just pour it in.
There you go, just pour it in.
Yeah.
Perfect. There we go. Now to deglaze, we want to scrape all of the stuff off the bottom. Now you can make this without beer if you want to. You can just use regular chicken stock, but beer does add kind of a nice flavor to it, and the alcohol will mostly cook out. So once we've added that, we'll turn the heat back up, and then we will add the chicken stock and the red curry paste. So we'll add some of this red curry paste. 2 tablespoons, there we go. Chicken stock right there. And then we also need to add the brown sugar and the coconut milk. Now it doesn't work too well to use the low-fat coconut milk. You want to use the regular high-fat coconut milk. So this is not exactly a diet soup. Thank you. And sometimes it can get kind of hard like that, so we have to use a spatula.
Smelling good.
And we get the next one in. You get some fresh basil. I have probably about 6 or 8 leaves here. And you'll want to julienne them or cut them into ribbons, either way. You can cut them into little pieces. Usually what I do is stack them up, roll them, and then once they're rolled like that, I'll just cut them into strips. Now we will let this soup simmer for the next 10 to 15 minutes, and we'll move on to the next step after that. Now as you get all those ingredients well incorporated into the pot, you'll want to go ahead and add the chicken back in. Give it a stir, and we will let it simmer until it's simmered for the next 10 minutes. Okay, so we've simmered this now for a little over 10 minutes. And you've noticed it's kind of thickened up a little bit. The chicken is all cooked through. and it has a kind of a nice orangish red tinge from the red curry paste. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to spoon it up into bowls and add a little bit of that fresh basil on top that we just sliced up. So now we've actually spooned up our soup here, and we've got the Romers and the McBrides here, and this upcoming Feeding Our Faith that we're going to be having this next Sunday, which we hope you'll be able to come to, is one in which we're going to be talking about marriage. And in particular, I'm wondering about, I think I know about how long y'all have been married, but just to find, so everybody else knows, how long have y'all been married?
We're going on 53.
Almost 53.
53 years. How about y'all?
19.
19 years, okay. And what I'm wondering is, and this is something I know y'all are going to talk a little bit about on this next Sunday, but what would you say is something that y'all do to keep your marriage healthy? And
Well, I had to learn to argue.
you had to learn to argue.
I had to
okay.
learn to argue, but I have to do it respectfully.
Okay.
And don't be afraid to agree to not agree.
Okay. How about you, Eddie? You want to add anything to it?
Well, one thing, we do things together. No matter what we do, we're together. You can ask Jenny, and she'll tell you the same thing. If she gets one of us, she gets both of us. And we just go from there. And like she's saying, we do have to learn to argue and when to shut our mouth.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I would say actually when we first started out, we lived pretty much cross country from each other. So communication was really big for us. That's all we had. Letters, emails, which is a really long time ago, so life is really slow, and letters and phone calls. So that was it. And so for us, it was learning how to use I statements. When we are having an argument or talking about something, we both figured out pretty early we have to say, I need or I'm feeling a certain way, and we both do that. And so I think that really helps with that communication.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, we'll hope you will come to Feeding Our Faith this next week, where the Romers and the McBrides are going to talk a little bit about what it means to have a healthy marriage, because a healthy marriage means healthy families, which also means a healthy church. And that's what we want, to have holy families. So with that, I think I've tortured y'all long enough with smelling the soup, so we probably better try something.
Delicious.